This is entry 21 of Expedition Handheld. I'm Russ Crandall.
Wait, hold on. I've been through this before. I've been burned before. Is this the real Russ? I don't know what to believe anymore.
Yeah, that was going to be my buckle up. I was going to be like, buckle up, and no, I am not tech dweeb.
Wait, how do I know you're not tech dweeb? Like, well, if you have root beer in the room, you have to tell me.
A lot of people don't like the way you say root beer. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah, but they're like, he says rut beer. Like,
what is there another way to say root beer?
Root beer, yeah.
Root beer?
I've heard people saying like, oh, I've been digging up ruts, they'll say that. But you actually go rut beer, I've never heard that. Anyway.
Hey, quit trying to distract me. Are you the real Russ? Yes or no?
Yeah, of course. Look at his face.
I mean, because, he had, like, I saw the tattoos, the green mat, everything. It was like, I was made me actually fooled.
Yeah, the tattoos made me laugh like out loud. Like I don't laugh out loud like usually like watching a movie and something. And I just like I couldn't believe he did that, like just drew on his arm. Beautiful.
All right, well then buckle up because I think this is the real Russ.
Okay.
Well, Russ, if this is the real you, you're back from vacation. I missed you.
Yeah. I feel like I've just been traveling for like a month straight between, China and Taiwan and everything. And then Australia. I did a blitz in between those two trips, try to make as many videos as possible. But now it's like I finally feel like I'm back.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I mean, I had Mr. Dweeb on. It was a real good time. He threw a little bit of a curveball by bringing up my one of my old reviews. I literally I watched back the footage as I was editing it, and I was like, wow, I had no idea what to say when he said that. I was just like, what?
You're kind of speechless,
I really was. That was funny, but yeah, it was a good time to hang out with Mr. Dweeb. I asked him before the show. I forgot to mention this last week, but I asked him before the show. I was like, hey, is it okay if I call you Mr. Dweeb instead of the full tech dweeb? And he's like, no, that's great. Most people usually just call me Dweeb. So now I get elevated up to Mr. status. And I was
Sir
like,
Dweeb.
Yeah, just for you. It reminded me of like how at CES you could put doctor on your badge,
if you want, honorable doctor,
anything like that. But no, you had a trip. You ate a bunch. You put up a vlog of your whole thing, and I gotta say, I watched the vlog except for the part where you talked about your hardware because, like, I want to talk to you about that. Go in fresh, and I thought it was funny because like it almost played out like of an advice blog, like your normal like advice videos, like, hey, I'm here checking out the RG Rotate and I'm giving you advice. But here's like, no, I visited Australia and now I'm going to give you advice on where to go. And here's how it was. Here's the details of the food.
Honestly, I just can't get out of teaching mode when the camera's on. You know what I mean? Like I got to teach you something, And looking back, I regretted, even though it was a long video, I was like, I forgot to do other teaching moments where I was like, hey, I forgot to mention the exchange rate, how that works, and then also like how to get around in public transportation, like you can just tap your phone. But those are things I like to incorporate too, to really like, it's a tutorial and a review almost, when I go on these travel things. And so, yeah, it is what it is.
No, I mean, I appreciate that. It like puts in stark like contrast of like why I like to watch your stuff is because you're always in that mindset of trying to help people, like teach people, that kind of stuff, and I hope people go watch that vlog because it wasn't explicitly about handhelds, but it was fun. It was like I got to go on the trip with you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's one of those where I don't know why, like years ago, I just started like taking 10-second clips. Anytime I see something cool, just video clips, I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then I was like, I could throw this all together and have a whole travel video, and so that's kind of how I do it. But now that I know that I might make a travel video, like I go overboard with my clips. And so I mentioned in the video, I had 600 different clips of footage, that is more challenging and harder to do than like an in-depth handheld review. Like it is so hard to make a travel video. It's exhausting. And so it's fun, but it is a bit of work too at the same time.
Yeah, definitely a lot of work. And you got to hang out with a friend of the show, Nick and Claire from Gear Seekers. We're in a Discord chat together, so it was kind of I was very jealous to hear you guys be like, "Oh, hey, I'm on the ferry right now. Where I'll meet you at the zoo in 10 minutes." And I was just like, "Dang, I'm not there." That's a bummer.
Yeah, they were great. They were such good hosts. So they like picked us up. And then like would drive us around and take us in places, and then also be like, hey, like they obviously knew where we were staying and like the things we could walk to, but then they were like, let's take you out into the suburbs, kind of show you some other cool stuff. And so that was really neat of them. And we went on this crazy grocery shopping trip, and I didn't take any footage because I was holding the basket the whole time. But my arm was hurting so bad from holding this basket, just from snacks. Like we're talking chips and candy bars and stuff, but it was like,
is that not from where you got like the Tim Tams and you showed the bags and stuff like that?
That was a different,
chips?
That was a different
place.
grocery store. Yeah. We full on went to Woolworths, Woolies as they call it. And we were in there for like 2 hours, like just every single aisle. And they're like, oh yeah, that's Australian. And they would tell us like childhood stories and stuff. And I'm just sitting there like holding this basket, like, oh, my arm hurts so bad. We couldn't find any carts, or buggies or whatever they call them there. And so I'm
buggies?
Yeah, I don't know what they call them, but
all right.
I figure it's a buggy. I don't know. Anyway, it's got to be something weird. It's Australian.
Yeah, it's Australia. It's upside down. Actually, right. I got to say, I loved your thumbnail when I saw the RG rotate or your logo on the RG rotate upside down. I was like, get what he's doing here.
I initially didn't have that. Like for the first few hours of that video, I just had my regular logo, and I had two, and I was like, no, this is too much. Like I'm asking too much of the viewer. And then I was like, screw it. Like, let's just do it. Let's have fun, and so that's when I changed it over. So you saw it by that time because you were waking up or whatever.
Oh, okay. Well, I got to ask a couple of quick things. Number one, did you punch or get into any fights with kangaroos?
No, they, like you saw in the video, like it was raining the day that we actually got close to kangaroos, and they were not having it, man. They were just hiding out and stuff. So I honestly didn't even get to touch one, which is kind of a bummer, but oh well.
Yeah, I mean, I would put my money on you winning that fight, so it's a bummer. Maybe next time. and then also, real quick, we had a side conversation in our Discord chat because you were talking about music and how you were like gonna go to the music hall and listen to this awesome music, and I was like, what is it, just an orchestra of didgeridoos or something? And then like all you guys like jumped in, you're like, yeah, but look at all these great musicians from Australia, like Silverchair, and I was like, what? Like that's not a shining example of Australia.
Yeah, they don't have a huge, I mean, they've got In Excess, they've got AC/DC, obviously, but yeah, they don't have a huge cultural like mark on the rock and roll world, but the bands that they do have, they're very prideful of, and so that's always one of my favorite things too. And I know a lot of those, and so that's why I like to bring them up. There's like random like indie bands like Jebediah from back in the day and stuff, and so yeah, they never really broke out.
Okay, nice. Well, we need to break out of this intro section and get to news because you've been gone. Luckily, I had Mr. Dweeb there, kind of helped me cover some news last week. Actually, I was surprised. I think we did like 40 minutes of news or something like that. And I was like, I did not expect to to talk that much news with Mr. Dweeb. I expected to do a little bit more ranting, so we kind of cut the ranting section short a little bit because of that. But yeah, hey, the news still continues. Even though Russ was on vacation, the news still continues. And arguably the biggest news of this week is a little back and forth between Steam Deck parts replacements. So yesterday, at the time of this recording, there was an article over here on Notebook Check detailing a interaction between a Reddit user and an iFixit customer service person trying to get a replacement for their Steam Deck LCD. They got a quote that had a lot of people up in arms being like, oh no, Valve appears to be discontinuing the Steam Deck replacement parts. And then like literally an hour ago, Sean Hollister over The Verge texted me and said, oh, you know what? Don't worry about this. I actually got a quote from Valve. So before we get into the details of all this kind of stuff, what happened in this interaction between the Reddit user?
So the way I read about it was that they were looking for batteries specifically. I think that they were looking for an LCD Steam Deck. Yeah,
you're right.
they had the old 40 watt-hour battery back then. And so they were looking for a replacement for that. And iFixit said, oh, sorry, we don't have any in stock. We might get some in the future. But just as a heads up, the quote says, it's not that we're choosing to not stock these anymore. Unfortunately, Valve is just starting to sunset these parts and we're looking for alternatives. So this was the initial thing we saw on Reddit, was basically that, hey, maybe, the Steam Deck's been around for 4 years at this point, and maybe they figure that's time. That was at least the initial thought.
Yeah, and there was definitely a lot of people, who were like disappointed and frustrated and kind of confused by all this. And yeah, so I guess we can just fast forward to what Sean Hollister over at The Verge reported on. So he actually reached out to Valve for comment about this, to try to get a little bit of understanding of what's going on here. Russ, tell the fine folks what new information we have now.
Well, I think the headline says it all. It just says, Valve says that iFixit will keep selling the Steam Deck batteries after all. The quote I saw from Valve was that iFixit will be getting the same OEM parts sourced through Valve's partners as they always have. So, they do plan on having batteries in stock by next week. And yeah, it looks like initially it was like they even got a comment. Sean got a comment from iFixit CEO too, who said, we thought, that it looked like they were no longer going to have replacement batteries, but no, it looks like everything's been worked out.
Yeah, so a weird back and forth. I mean, this is one issue with the internet, is that, something will happen and then something else will happen, and you got to wait for the story to develop. But also at the same time, I do wonder, Russ, do you think that Valve is coming out and talking about this because they got pushback? Like, do you think there could have been a chance that they actually weren't going to address this, and then they were like, you know what? I guess people still want us to stock the batteries.
Right. Yeah. It's one of those that maybe they thought it would just quietly go away, and then maybe they weren't paying attention and they just kind of like it atrophied away because they were focusing on other things like how to pay for all these Steam machines. And they were like, you know what? Like, hadn't even thought about it. And then this comes up. It's almost like the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? It's like this idea that maybe it's good that we get this kind of like kerfluffle that comes up, and then it allows us to kind of really set the stage for, they can kind of prime and think, all right, what is it we want to do and how should we approach this? And so it may be something like that, where it's just an opportunity for them to reflect and figure out what they're going to do. Who knows? I don't think we'll ever get those answers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would hazard a guess that Valve does care about, repairability, upgradability, stuff like that. Because I mean, generally the Steam Deck got I think an iFixit repairability score of 7 out of 10, which is not amazing, but I mean, in today's age, it's actually a pretty good score. So
especially when it comes to handhelds,
right? Yeah. So I think they do care. I think the other question, I mean, listen, this is a business. They're here to make money, and so maybe on the back end they're like having to crunch the numbers and be like, oh, you know what, it doesn't really make sense to continue to produce these parts. This thing's old, like there's third party options out there or something like that. So like, what do you think the company is beholden to for somebody who has like an original Steam Deck LCD?
Yeah, I think at the very least, if they are still selling the product, I think that they should always have those replacement parts. The problem with this handheld world is that they have like these short cycles of when they're actually being sold. Like the LCD Steam Deck is no longer on the Steam Deck website. It's just the OLED models at this point. So you can't buy it unless they happen to pop up some refurbished ones. They don't really have any option for that anymore. So I don't know. It's hard to say, because I feel like of all the handheld companies, Valve probably has done the best with all of this in terms of just at least having this whole partnership with iFixit and the ability to get these new parts and stuff. It's kind of cool, but at the same time, how long should we expect them to do that? I don't know. I think at least 3 years, if not 5 or so on. I mean, we talk about this a lot when it comes to like driver updates. Like, how long should somebody be required to maintain the software for their products as well?
True. Yeah. And I would say, like, I'm not as obsessed about the length that they actually go to for having this kind of stuff. mostly because if they already did the work to make sure that it was highly upgradable and repairable to begin with, then at least worst case scenario, there are a lot of third-party options. I mean, like two of the first mods I ever did on the Steam Deck LCD when I got it in was I swapped out the thumbsticks for Hall effect sticks, and then I swapped out the fan because I got the original fan that was just like, oh, really grating. So like I was already cracking that thing open and modifying it, and it was relatively easy. So like,
did you get did you get the fan from Valve, or that was a third party who made a fan?
No, it was a third party. Yeah, wow. Like I don't even
crazy.
remember what the story was, but yeah, somebody had realized like, oh, hey, we can sell the exact same source of the fan from somebody else. So yeah, no, and I mean this handheld has been out for a bit, so there's plenty of third party stuff out there. I think it depends the kind of things you're going to switch out though, like the thumbsticks. The fan, that's actually pretty serviceable when it comes to buttons, right? When it comes to battery or the actual panel, things like that. Like, I mean, we've seen panels like upgrade kits for like transitioning an LCD Steam Deck to an OLED version. But I guess I don't. It's a harder thing when it comes to the batteries. So
Yeah, so when I heard about this, I looked online, and they do have like AliExpress batteries that you can get. I mean, that's a risk. Like, I'm not recommending anyone do that, but iFixit sells the batteries for around $80 on their website for both the LCD and OLED models, and they're about $30 to $40 on AliExpress. So if you're willing to take that risk and do that all yourself, then yeah, there's definitely an opportunity there. But about 6 listings is what I saw, and some of those had like hundreds of sales. So it's not like it's it's something that's at least a little bit more established. So I think those options are out there. Kind of like the way that if you need a new PSP battery or a DS battery, you can find those online as well. Maybe not official, but you can find them.
Yeah, and some of them actually come with higher capacity because there's actually been like battery advancements, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, an interesting story. I do hope they keep with it. And like I said, I think it's more important that Valve does the work up front to make sure that this thing is, or anything that they make is repairable kind of stuff. And not just Valve, any company.
What I would like to see? I would like to see them bring back the LCD model just writ large. I mean, I think we're in a world where these things are getting so expensive that it's like, maybe if they can sell it for cheaper, bring that $400 model back. I know it's not going to be $400, but if it's $600, that's like, it's still not a terrible deal compared to everything else out there. And if they were to hire me for their marketing, and I feel like they're going to at some point, right?
Yeah, there you go. Get in the call, Russ. Yeah, come on over.
All I've been doing for this past 6 years is just making a channel so I'll get hired by Valve. So once they hire me for marketing and this becomes a reality, we're going to call it the Steam Deck Retro. It's going to be like a throwback device, So that's what
with your little Retro Game Core logo somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Just hidden, like in the back of the shell, it'll be there so everyone will know.
I mean, it's a good point. Like, I do feel like now more than ever, we need something like the Steam Deck LCD to offset or have more entry level hardware. Like I get they want to prioritize the OLED. It is nicer. It is, there are things about it that are upgraded. But what we need in the market now more than ever are more entry level options.
Right.
But to tell you the truth, I don't know if bringing back the LCD would be the way to go. I mean, maybe, but it actually, I still feel like that there is a future where we're going to get a new Steam Deck, but it is not going to be a Steam Deck 2. It'll actually be, some sort of Steam Deck Mini or Steam Deck Lite or Steam Deck, I don't know, whatever nomenclature that you get, retro, I guess, that has a lower chipset, maybe it's the same ARM processor that's in the frame because they're already sourcing a bunch of those. I don't know, something to hit that lower price point. Anyway, I think we will see something in entry level sooner than we'll see a true Steam Deck 2 competitor. But
yeah, I think that would be great. And I would love to see a smaller ARM based. Steam Deck Flip, make it a clamshell, make it even better. What I would really actually like to see. I mean, not to go on a tangent, but like what if Nintendo just released a bunch of new 3DSs? Like maybe upgraded the panel or something like that. But they were just like, you know what? Here's some more 3DSs. It would tank all those like third party like retailer sales and stuff, like all the resellers and stuff. But like just throw it out there. It's not like there's a lot of RAM or memory in any of those, you know? And so it's like, I think it might be able to do it pretty cheap, even if they charge $200 for it. Yeah.
Yeah, they are hot.
You don't have to make new games. Just put out more consoles.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I actually really do like that idea, and it's not unwarranted. I mean, people are still gobbling up DDR4 RAM now, being like, oh, DDR5 is expensive. Well, I'm just going to stick with DDR4, or I mean, AMD's releasing a new 5800 X3D just to make sure they have something for DDR4 around. NVIDIA reintroduced the RTX 3060 GPU to be like, hey, you know what? We still need something cheaper and older. And hey, if it's good and it works and it's a cheap option, then yeah, I like that. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I guess more to come with this. And I mean, at some point we will get another news cycle out of this of being like, oh, you know what? It's a year later, and guess what? Now you can't get batteries again.
Right. Exactly.
It's going to happen at some point.
Away.
But not today. On the other x86 handheld front, we got the Asus ROG Xbox Ally X20.
Get the name right. It's only 30 words. Come on.
Featuring the AMD Ryzen Z2 Extreme. There's an official statement from Asus that they will actually sell that individually, not as a part of the bundle. So one friend of the show, Sean Hollister of The Verge, who's actually been on the show before, and I've been chatting with him. He wants to come back on. Nice. He wasn't at Computex, so he was able to come to the Fremont office here in the Bay Area and actually get some time with the device for the first time. And yeah, he was able to actually get a statement from the Asus rep saying, hey, I have the quote here, quote, "We are actively discussing the release schedule for a standalone version of the new Ally. Please stay tuned for upcoming announcements," end quote. Which, hey, Russ, are you excited about this?
Yeah, I feel like it's the worst kept secret in the world, though, because like as soon as it came out and it was like, this is a bundle only, like everyone was just like, oh, you know, like up in arms about it. Me too, you know. And they told me that day, they were like, listen, we're not stupid, but we just can't say anything right now. It's like kind of what they said, right? And so I've just kind of been like holding out and be like, yeah, it would have been, they would really have shot themselves in the foot if they're like, here is this device with this new beautiful screen, and it comes with an accessory that makes it so you can't see your screen. You know, like it just didn't make sense to me, you know. And obviously with pricing and everything else being very sensitive right now, the writing was on the wall, I think. And so I'm glad that Sean actually got some confirmation here, though.
Yeah, and so in the article, I'm going to put it down in the description. You should definitely go read it, because this is Sean's first time getting hands-on with the device, like I said, and he has some good thoughts that line up with what we had seen at Computex as well. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, the bigger thing for me too, thinking about this, is that I think it's an awesome device. I'm so glad that they're gonna sell it standalone, even though who knows how limited, you know, they're actually gonna make, whatever, for the anniversary. But the other thing to worry about is pricing, right? Yes, as of right now, Asus has not had to drive up pricing for their handhelds, but I would be very surprised if this handheld comes out and isn't impacted in some way. I think even taking that out of the equation, this device is already going to be more expensive than the normal Xbox Ally X. You know, the translucent plastic, the OLED screen, all the improvements that they put into it. Like, it's going to have a price premium. But when was this manufactured? Was this at a time where they needed to actually get more RAM allocation? So, like, yes, it's going to be cheaper than it was if it had to come in a bundle, but it's still going to be more expensive than the normal Ally X, Xbox Ally X.
And I think that this is definitely like there's a reckoning coming for these guys. I think they had enough stock, or their existing contract probably worked out, you know. But I've seen it with other products. You know, I haven't reviewed a lot of Asus stuff on my channel recently, and it's mostly because of price. Because I'm like, I can't I can't make a video talking about a $3,000 computer, you know, like it's hard for me to kind of talk about that. But there have been times where they'll be like, we can't tell you the price until it's like the day before. And it's not because we're trying to hold back, but it's because we don't know what it is yet because of all the different part issues that they've been having and stuff. And every company is having it, you know, but, yeah, so I'm expecting that this price is going to be quite a bit higher. And now that it's not part of a bundle, it's going to be like a 1-for-1 comparison with other handhelds. Like previously I was like, all right, maybe they're doing the bundle thing, like to kind of, you know, obfuscate whatever that would, obfuscate like the actual price of it by saying, well, it comes with glasses, you know, and that's why, you know, whatever. But now that it's just going to be a handheld, we're going to be able to be like, all right, well, this price versus this price, and immediately see which may give you the better value, which I think as a consumer is probably the way to go. Like I want to know if I'm going to be shelling out upwards of, you know, $1,500, $2,000 for some of these things. I want to know which one will give me the most bang for my buck without an additional accessory complicating things.
Well, and it also would not surprise me if when they announce the price for this, that the price increases actually happen for the other devices as well.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got this new one. Yeah, that price is rough, but you know, it's only $200 more than the normal Ally X, Xbox Ally X, which is now $1,600.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right.
You know,
yeah,
so
yeah, I can see that. It's funny how like 2026 has made us such cynical people. I mean, I think we've all had a little bit of cynicism in ourselves, but like this year has been rough, man. Like I always get surprised, and it's always in a bad way with these companies, you know, where it's just like, oh, it can't go that high. And then it does, you know, Steam Machine being one of those two, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we got one last piece of news, and this is a piece of news, but this isn't anything new, right? Because 8BitDo has launched, or at least is taking pre-orders for the FlipPad, right?
Yeah.
Russ?
So actually, I have one. They sent over like an engineering prototype. So I got this little guy. So I'll make a video on it here soon. But yeah, the pre-orders went up the day that we're making this review. It's on the 15th. And scroll down a little bit on the page. Look at this next. Look at that. They're playing Contra. They're doing the Contra test.
Do you think they're doing that for you?
Maybe.
They're like, hey, Russ.
I don't want to get too big for my britches, but maybe, you know. Anyway.
So you have it in the box, but have you touched this before?
Oh yeah, I've had it for like a month. Yeah. And
no. I mean, because there was rumblings that it was at CES.
Yeah. So it was at CES, but you had to. I didn't test it at CES because you had to ask them if they had it, and then they would pull it out of their pocket and show you. And I didn't know. You know, I'm not going to walk up to someone and be like, "Hey, do you have a prototype of this flippy controller for your phone that you can pull out of your pocket right now?" Like, it's not a thing I usually will tell people.
No, so. Russ, I think. Listen, we literally have a section of this podcast called "What's in Your Pocket."
That's
so I think
true.
we need to normalize just walking up to random people and being like, "What's in your pocket?"
I got to step it up. Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, so you haven't touched it, and it's still in the box. But like, are you actually excited for this? Like, what are your thoughts on adding a gamepad to your phone?
Yeah. So I should clarify. I have the box, but I've had the thing for a month. Like, I've been using it for a month. So
you have been using it. Okay, I'm sorry.
Been using it all over the place.
I thought it's been sitting in a box because you've been doing all this traveling and you haven't got back to it.
Like, I really enjoyed this. It doesn't take long to get a good feel for this thing. It's not like a very complicated setup, you know. I love it. So I have an iPhone 15, so non-Max. So it's not a big phone, you know, but it fits perfectly on it. It's a USB-C connection, right? So you just like plug it in, flip it up, and this part is like a rubber bumper. Like, you're not going to damage the screen by plapping it on here, you know. And it just works. Really clicky controls, which is kind of like, you know, the controller itself looks retro, but it doesn't feel retro. It feels like a PC controller, something very clicky, a little louder than I would like. Almost like a Switch controller. It's kind of what it feels like.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's like, it just works. Like, it's automatic, you know, you don't have to do any pairing or stuff. It just knows all of the buttons, and it works on Android and iPhone too. Really handy, you know. A couple things that just kind of are weird about it is that you can't really use it with anything else. Like, you can't play it horizontally, obviously, because it's just stuck in there and you can't do anything else with it. So the other versions, like the GameSir one, which is called the Pocket Taco, that one's Bluetooth. So you can actually just pull that thing off and then play it and then move your phone however you want and stuff. So, and that one, because it clamps instead of this one, which is only on the front, the clamp one has shoulder buttons on the back. So it's like a little bit easier to use your back fingers, whereas this one has shoulder buttons on the front, which is always odd. Like it's just a weird thing, you know, but you can kind of get used to it. And so, well, yeah, I don't know. I really like it.
Except for Russ, I just reached over and grabbed. This is an older Asus phone or ROG phone. I don't remember. I think this might be the 8, something like that. But it does have a USB-C right in the middle on the side. So there's one of the, like. So imagine placing it in the middle on the side and then having it right in the middle of the screen.
I know. Right?
I mean, obviously you wouldn't
DS
do it that
maybe.
way,
You could do DS one screen on one side, one on the other.
I mean, could you actually see attaching it to like the Legion tab? Because I mean, there would be space to plug it into the bottom, and it wouldn't fill up the whole screen. I mean, obviously you would probably miss out on a lot of screen space this way, but theoretically,
it's in my notes. So like I'm gonna test that when I do the review. But yeah, that's one of the things I'll check. One of the things I talked to them about, you know, because this was out, like I had it in my hands when I talked to them in China. And so two major things was that they talked about how they're trying, like, it's probably not going to happen, but they were like, man, wouldn't it be so cool if you were playing, you know, you got your thing set up like this or whatever, and then you get a call, and then you had an integration with the iPhone software where in order to answer the call, you just did this. You know what I mean? And so you're just like holding it like an old flip phone. You're like, that would answer your call and be like, hey, how's it going? You know what I mean? Aesthetically, like it was hilarious, you know, but I just don't think that's ever actually going to happen because they would have to have the integration with the iPhone software. And I don't know if they have that kind of stuff. But the other thing
Apple is 100% not going to play ball with it.
Yeah.
That's a really cool idea, though. That is a really good idea.
And the moment they did that, like in their shop, and they're like, yeah, look at this. And I was like, oh, that's so cool and retro, you know, even if it's just a gimmick, you know, like it's just kind of funny. The other thing I talked to them about was that on the software side, it would be really good if they had a hotkey button that would enable the D-pad to also function in the software level as an analog stick. So if you wanted to play a Nintendo 64 game and you know, because there is no sticks on this thing, right? And then just treat it in the software as if it's the left analog stick. And so you can swap between the two. They have that like on their arcade stick. Like there's a little knob and you can switch it and be like D-pad, left stick, right stick, you know? And so just make a hotkey that does that. The RG Rotate, which I had with me when I was talking to them, I was like, look at this. And I pressed a hotkey and it switched over between D-pad and left analog stick in the software. And I was like, you guys could do this, you know? And so hopefully we'll see that in a software update sometime in the future.
Well, I mean, I think it depends on what you want to do with it though, because like, I guess in my mind, this wouldn't replace a bespoke emulation device like the RG Rotate.
Not at all.
Yeah, like I think this is more just like hey, this might replace like your everyday carry of, you know, Miu Mini Flip or something like that, so that oh, you know what, I'm waiting in line and I'm just gonna kind of, you know, pop this in and play something simple. But it also makes me think of I haven't talked about this here, but a couple years ago, the late great Gordon Mong, his daughter was the president of her esports club at Berkeley High, and so she asked me to come talk to the kids there and, you know, talk about PC and making videos for PC World and stuff like that. And I was like, sure. And I'll tell you what, I've done a lot of videos. I haven't done like a ton of public speaking, but I'm not inherently like scared of it. But man, speaking in front of high school kids, that was the roughest crowd. Like I walked out of there feeling like I was a stand-up comic that just like completely bombed. And I was like, these kids, like they gave me nothing, right? It was it was rough. But also, I mean, a good number of them were just on their phone. And so like I was just trying to connect and understand what they were doing. And I was like, oh, what are you playing on your phone? And they were literally just playing an old Pokemon, like Game Boy Pokemon, you know, so not emulating one of the newer ones, it's just doing that kind of thing. So like this also just makes me think that this might be perfect for that kind of scenario as well. Just young kids who don't really care about like pixel density and, you know, frame accurate blending and stuff like that. They're just like, no, I just like playing Pokemon on my phone during school. So
Yeah, I mean, if you think about like on the iStore or the iOS, like you can get RetroArch on there, right? But they also have Delta, like that's like the one of the very popular emulators in there, and it's basically just using the same RetroArch cores that are much older and less feature rich, But it's so simple of an interface, and it's got these touchscreen controls and stuff. And so this feels like it's like it's for the Delta crowd, like people who just want to play like a Game Boy Color ROM hack they heard about or something, just pop this thing in on your phone. And instead of using those touch controls, you can use actual controls. And it's something that's small enough you can throw in your bag or your pocket, not even worry about it. And it's $30. Like that's the other big thing is like, it's a good price point for that too.
Yeah, which if that is the case, then and it's like yeah, it doesn't need to be the be all end all and like have thumbstick mode and stuff like that. Like I think that's pretty cool. I mean, yeah, and $30 like it's not a huge ask because like I guess I was also in my mind I was then trying to compare it to like the MCon or something like that, but then I realized I think that's two different crowds. Like the MCon is like, oh no, I want a full size controller because I am actually going to play something more substantial than just a quick, emulation kind of thing. So
yeah, it's like for Call of Duty or Minecraft or something, where you need both sticks, that kind of stuff. Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, it is a different crowd. I really do feel like this is just a Pokemon controller. But yeah, it's fun. My video is probably not going to be a review of this, but rather just a straight up comparison between this and the Pocket Taco. Be like, all right, let's just assume that you already are interested in doing something like this on your phone. Which of these two would I recommend? And the Pocket Taco is, I think, $35. So it's a very similar price point. And these guys it's so weird that they both developed very similar controllers at the same time.
Is it weird?
They both had the idea. Well, I don't know. Like, do they have like corporate espionage? Like, are they like,
or is there a company that owns both of them?
Oh no, I think they're independent between the two because they're located in different cities and everything. So, but yeah, like I think that it's just kind of unique that they both came out with the exact same, similar things at around the exact same time.
I mean, the biggest question I would have, and not that you need to address this in your review, but like all of the imagery that they're showing on their page are iPhones. And they do talk about Android compatibility, but hey, guess what? I'm not an iPhone guy. I'm an Android guy. Yeah. And so like, I don't know if you have other phones on hand or something, but I would love to know how it's going to work with something that's not just the newest iPhone.
Yep. Yeah, no, I'll totally put that in there as well. And yeah, I think that there's two different audiences for them. Even though they look so similar, I think the Bluetooth / like the ability to pull off the GameSir one is just like a totally different ballpark than like the just plug and play 8BitDo play your Pokemon kind of approach.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, well, we'll look forward to that over on Retro Game Core. Do you have a time frame? Like, do you think it's in time for this or this podcast?
Yeah, it'll probably come out like the day after this podcast is my internal timing. Don't hold me to that, obviously. But
of course.
Yeah, like I think it'll be very, very soon, way before it actually starts shipping.
Awesome. Well, then, do you know what's coming soon? Like literally right now. Is an ad break.
Yeah.
So let's take a break.
So Adam, I'm looking at the show notes here for what's in your pocket. The first thing you have here, it says New Foster. And I just came from Australia. Are you talking about like Foster's beer? Like that's I'm like, you got a new beer? Is that what you're talking about? What is this?
Russ, I don't know for sure, but I also think like people in Australia don't drink Fosters from what I've heard.
They hate it.
It's kind of it's kind of like the Outback Steakhouse, like it's from Florida, like or something like that. No, I got a new Foster kitten. So this is Iggy. Yeah. Iggy. So this the other Fosters that we had, we brought back to the shelter, and they did get adopted last weekend. Nice. And then they were like, "Hey, listen, it's kitten season. Can you take some more kittens?" So yeah, we got Iggy here. He's orange. He's needs some special attention, but that's okay. He's growing up real quick. Really cute.
Orange boy. Yeah. We have an orange boy. Ours is Frankie, and we talked about him last time. Like he wasn't like handled as a kitten, and because he was a stray, and so he doesn't really like being pet. It's funny. Like if you pet him anywhere but his head, he doesn't mind. Right? You pet him on the body, he'll immediately bite you, like in a nice way. Like it's just kind of like like just kind of holds and like let's not do that, and then he'll immediately clean himself like as if our hands were dirty. You know, it's like, I got to
interesting.
clean myself because I just got touched by a dirty human. So anyway.
Yeah, it's definitely different than the other Frosters we had because we had 4 of them. And so like if they weren't sleeping or eating or pooping, they were literally like just wrestling each other the whole time.
Nice.
But this kitten, like, I mean, we don't know much about him, but like he was essentially alone. So like it's so I mean, number one, it's different to like try to take care of a kitten that's alone, you know, like just solo kind of thing. But also we can tell he's already kind of underdeveloped socially because of that in some ways. So it's just kind of a different thing. Like, I mean, but oh man, like he loves tummy rubs. Like we'll come into because we're keeping him in the tub, and like we'll come in and like he'll immediately just flop over and show his stomach and like he'll just start purring. We just rub him. So like he is super, super sweet, super gentle. Yeah, but he's been taking up a lot of my pocket time for sure.
Nice.
And he's a cutie.
Looks like a good boy.
All right, I had to put the cat back. It's not the only thing that's been in my pocket though. And before we get to my stuff though, I want to hear what you took on your trip. Okay. I know you took the RG Rotate. Obviously, it was in your thumbnail, and you kind of talked about how you were updating the software and stuff before you left. But I intentionally skipped past that section of the video because I want to ask you like how to go. What'd you bring? What'd you do?
I literally brought the same stuff as I took to China. So just the Rotate and the Odin 3. But, you know, the Rotate actually got a lot of game time. So I think we talked about it last time, but I also talked about it a lot in the review. Is like there's an app called RA Offline Proxy, which allows you to load up offline retro achievements. And so what do you do is you turn this thing on and then you just start loading up, like turning on games, like just load a game. And when it loads up the game, then it basically goes and connects the internet to the retro achievements database and says, all right, these are all the achievements and all the triggers for them. And then it saves it internally. And you can do that for up to, I think, 100 games now. It used to be 50, but now 100. So you can have like 100 games loaded up that basically trick the system into thinking that you're online. And so once you've got them queued up, they call it cached. Then you can just turn your device offline, like just full on airplane mode. And then as you're playing, it'll still hit those triggers at the right moment and it'll give you the retro achievement pop up. And then it'll just kind of queue it up and hold it in the app itself.
Okay.
And then once you go back online at some point, it'll spit it all out to retroachievements.org and then add it to your database and to your profile. And so it's a way of basically, because the thing about retro achievements is you got to be online for them. And it's mostly an anti-cheating thing. And even then, like this app only works with what they call softcore achievements versus hardcore. So softcore means you can use things like fast forward and save states and stuff. Yeah. And which is the way I play, and cheats. And so like that's the way I play anyway. And so it's like, this is fine. Softcore is fine. I'm not like trying to get any bragging rights, you know, but it doesn't work on
speed runs. Like,
no, gosh, no. I'm just trying to survive in most of these games. And then hardcore mode is the more competitive side where you earn like real points or whatever, you know. And so I don't go for any of those. There's been times where I accidentally left it on hardcore mode and earned a couple. I'm like, oh crap, I didn't mean to do that. You know, I'm not trying to get on that leaderboard. But anyway, yeah. And so I use that. I basically queued up a bunch of games and then had them ready to go. I think only about 35 games or so. And you will be proud of me for this. So the game that I picked first was Castlevania 2 on the Game Boy.
Oh,
I'd never played that through.
Okay.
Yeah. And I had to use cheats a little bit on a couple parts. Like I was like, this is punishing, you know. It was just so hard.
All of those like linear Castlevania. I mean, I know you can pick which, you know, whatever. But like, a lot of those linear Castlevania games are hard. They're brutal, man.
Yeah. Because for those who haven't played the game, so there's like 4 areas you can pick, like 4 parts of the castle. And then when you finish those, then you go into like the castle. And that's actually several levels, you know, kind of layers there. And it's got a bit of a story to it. Like I was getting engrossed, you know, like I really enjoyed it. And so, like probably took me, I'd say less than an hour to play through the whole thing, you know, like just kind of sitting on the plane. and really enjoyed it. Yeah. And obviously the audio is just so good in that game. Like it's got some of my favorite video game music of all time. Like some of those levels. That's why I use them in my audio tests. I'll often use that game, because I just want to show it off and it doesn't give me a copyright strike. So it's like win-win, So,
I mean, Konami in general, dude, like I feel like, early Konami, they knew how to make bangers with chiptune music. Like,
yeah,
boy.
Absolutely. Yeah, and so I really enjoyed that, played through that, got all those achievements, and then, had them all queued up. And so it was pretty satisfying when I got to Australia, I got to the hotel, connected to Wi-Fi, and it was like, boop, and just hit them all up at once, and it actually worked.
Well, so how much game time did you have apart from the plane ride?
That was it. Like I mostly only play on the game, like on the plane. And it was like 12 hours each way, so I had time, but I kind of went on vacation mode. I'm like, listen, I'm on vacation. I know like I should be playing video games or whatever so I can talk about them, but like I also want to read these books, and so I mostly spent time reading books and stuff like that. Like on the TV one night, like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom was playing on TV, and my son was just like, because it was only me, my wife, and my 10-year-old son, and he was just like, what is this? Like he had only seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I was like, all right, we're watching this then. And so like,
you're like, all right, buckle up. I got to give you a little bit of context, but let's watch it.
When they like started eating the monkey brains and stuff, he's like, Dad, do we have to watch this? I'm like, yeah, you wanted to watch this.
Do we have to watch this? Wait, so you forced your child to watch this?
No, I mean, he just has these moments where he's grossed out, but he definitely wanted to watch it. And then like the way they rip out the guy's heart, he's like, oh, like holding his chest, but no, he really loved it. He actually watched Last Crusade yesterday because he's like, he wants to go through all of them now. So,
no, that's not all of them, Russ. There's more. Are you going to,
well, as far as I'm concerned,
have him watch more?
Yeah, he's interested in seeing the other ones. And I was like, okay, just, temper your expectations. I don't think that the most recent one, the one from like 3 years ago, wasn't terrible, but that Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls, man, that one's rough.
I mean, like, it might be different equation for a kid, right?
Sure.
Like I know people who have their first Star Wars were the prequels, right? And it's like that whole debate about like, what did you grow up with? Like Jar Jar Binks wasn't for adults; it was for kids. Anyway, we're getting way off topic here. So, did the rest of your family do any handheld gaming on the plane or otherwise?
Yeah. So my son brought the Switch 2, and he had a whole, like, we have these like Tom Talk cases that'll hold the Switch 2, and then it has room for like 16 cartridges or whatever. So he filled all that up, but he ended up just playing SteamWorld Dig 2 is what he ended up really getting into. Which
great move.
Thought was interesting.
Great game.
Yeah. And I've had it for years. I'm actually stuck in it. Like I played it on a while on the Switch and got to a certain part, probably like 2 or 3 hours in. And then I did the same thing on PC, got stuck at the same part. I just need to figure out how to get out of that. But anyway, so he played that, not done too much too. He also, he likes watching movies and stuff on the TV, like the little screen, on a plane and stuff. But I did play another game too. Well, 2 other games. So on the Rotate, in addition to Castlevania 2, I was like, you know what? We've talked about it a lot, but like, I'm not ashamed of like using cheats, and I was like, well, if I'm going to play these kind of harder games, let's just do one I'd never been able to finish. And so I was like, Mega Man 2, Invincibility on, let's go.
Wow.
And so, yeah. So I beat Mega Man 2, man. Like those games are so hard. Like I can usually on my own beat 1 or 2 of those characters, and then I'm just kind of done, but I stuck through, played through the whole game. That one took me about an hour and a half. That was a little bit harder, even with the invincibility on, it's still like, if you fall, you die, and there's so many things that'll make you fall. And so, like it was kind of rough, but really kind of, even though I used cheat assistance, I was pretty proud of like being able to finish that, so that was nice. That was fun too.
And that was on the Rotate, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
And that's the thing about the Rotate, man. Those clicky controls really help with a game like Mega Man, where it's just like, I know exactly how hard I need to push and for how long if I need to get to that platform, where there's a bit of a guessing game and kind of this like feel kind of element with membrane buttons, with these clicky buttons. It's like, no, let's do the precise thing, which is good in this game, but not great in others, So those were the 2 I played on the Rotate. And yeah, each of them took at least an hour to kind of get through, And then on the Odin 3, I played Dusklight. We talked about it before, like the Twilight Princess, played 120 frames per second. I don't like the intro of that game. It's like it forces you to go fishing. It forces you to like go and get some honey or something. I can't remember all the things it makes you do, right? But I was like, I'm going to push through this first hour or so that I really don't like. And like how many times do I have to herd goats into a barn? Like it just annoys me so much. Anyway, so I got past that. I got to like, playing as the wolf, playing as like transforming back and forth and stuff. So like 2 or 3 hours into the game now, it's better. Like after I'm through that part, especially with the Android port, which allows you to have like full camera controls, not just left and right, but also up and down and stuff. It really helps with perspective because even on the GameCube version, you didn't have as good of seamless controls as you do with it on the Android port. And so, yeah, really enjoying it now. I'll probably kind of stick through now that I've gotten through that hump. Like I feel like the world's opening up and I can kind of do more things because I haven't played that game since the Wii in 2006 when it first came out. So it's been a long time, 20 years.
I'd originally gotten the GameCube version because I actually never owned a Wii. So yeah, I want to pick it. How was the performance on the Odin? Was there any issues at all? Or
no issues at all. Stable 120 frames per second. And then I used that underclocking app that I had made a video about recently.
Yeah. I haven't watched that video yet.
Medium underclock, and I was like, 6 hours of gameplay.
How do you think that'll perform on the 865 on the Thor?
It should be okay. You could do 60. You could probably do 60, 1080p 60.
It's fine.
No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Curious. Nice.
Because even the rotate, which has a really weak chip, can play at like 40 frames per second on this thing, which is crazy. So, yeah.
Okay. Nice. So it was mostly on the plane, kind of game
that
time.
Was it. Yeah, I feel a little bit bad like with my title of the video where it's like retro handheld gaming in Australia. And it's like, here's 5 minutes and then let's talk about food.
Russ with the clickbait.
Yeah. I mean, I was
also,
very upfront in the beginning though, where I'm like, hey, this is like, if you're looking to travel to Australia or you want to know more about it, this is what the video is about. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, another question I have is, did you go to any retro game shops? Did you actually end up buying anything handheld related? I know in that one big mall thing, you said you saw some low end devices, but I assume you didn't buy any of those, right?
No. So I mentioned it in the video, but you probably skipped that part because it was right around the same time I was talking about online gaming and stuff. So that whole chapter, but I didn't. So I even asked people on YouTube. I was like, hey, like my community tab, where are some places to go? And I got a good list of each of the places. But then once we got to our hotel, we started looking them up and like how much it would cost for an Uber over there or how long it would take if we used like a bus, we're like, this is going to eat up a whole day and it's going to cost us way more than what I'm going to spend if I buy a game there, And so again, just kind of vacation mode. And I was like, I'm not going to drag my wife and kid to these places too, and I don't want to split up with them either. So yeah, we ended up not doing any of it and I feel kind of bad about it. But I put the list on the screen. I was like, hey, if you're going, here are all the places that other people recommend. So that's about the best I could do.
Well, I did catch a very small section of the beginning before I was like, oh wait, no, he's talking about handhelds. I'm going to skip past this section. and I did see the part where you were like, hey, I was thinking about bringing the MSI Claw 8EX AI Plus, but you didn't.
Yeah.
Right? Because you didn't have a case for it.
Yeah.
Right? Well, the fine folks over at Waterfield sent me over the magnetic case for Lenovo Legion Go 2 in chocolate leather. Sorry. Very long name. I know we've talked about Waterfield before. You have one of theirs, but like this is the first time. Yeah, there you go. That's the Steam Deck one, right? Yeah. So this is the one that, or they'd reached out to me. I'd actually talked with them a long time ago because back when I was reviewing smartphone cameras and like I had a bunch of those moment lenses. Do you remember those?
Oh, yeah.
That would attach to a camera kind of stuff. And so they had like a sling bag that specifically fit like some of lens attachments. So that was the first time I ever interacted with them. But they're here in San Francisco, like not too far from our office. I never really kept in touch until recently. Again, reconnected over the handheld gaming stuff. So they were like, "Hey, you know what? Which one would you like us to send over?" And I was like,
Nice.
I don't know. I haven't messed with any of these. They do have one which I thought was a little weird. Was a sling bag that holds 2 handhelds, and I was just like. Like I'm sitting here trying to be like,
Right.
I mean, hey, listen, the quality is awesome. Like no shade on that. But like, what person is going to be walking around the streets of San Francisco with 2 high-end handheld gaming devices and not just get immediately jacked? So like, that one's a little weird. But no, I was like, I'll kind of get in the largest one because then maybe it'll also fit some of the other larger devices I have. So. Yeah, and I mean, I have it here. I guess first impressions is I mean, really high quality leather. This is not a or actually the better way I think maybe I would describe getting a case or some sort of Waterfield thing like this, regardless of whether it's this case or not, is that like this is like a buy it for life kind of thing. It's super expensive. But I mean, it's high quality leather, and it's supposed to last for a long time. But also, it is super expensive.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you've had yours for a long time now. What do you think?
Yeah, like almost 5 years now, and so this one's different. Like they change up their models often, which is a little bit annoying to me because I often want to recommend these things, and then they're no longer around. So this one has brown chocolate on the side. And then on the fronts or whatever this is called, and then along the edges, it's actually waxed canvas. And so,
interesting.
This is the way I prefer it because nowadays they just do full leather or they do full waxed canvas.
Yeah,
and I feel like that one's a little bit too easy to crumple on the sides, and whereas this one's stiffer, and so it's more like a little box, So I do appreciate this design, which they no longer make. And so if I was to buy one, I was just actually looking at these. I got a couple questions for you about yours. I would just get the straight wax canvas one, even though it's not leather. I get it, and the leather's cool. It gets all scratchy and got the patina and all that stuff. But I really like that kind of stiff feel of it too, where it feels just a little bit more protected, I guess. So my question,
that makes sense.
The Legion Go 2 case, does it fit that MSI claw? That's my big question.
Oh, that is a good question. I can try it live here. I've not tried it. Like I got it sent to the office, and then like I put in the Legion Go 2. And obviously it fits.
So conventional of you. Why would you do that?
Yeah, I know. Hey, you just have to double check, right? It would be really weird if they sold it and I was like, hey, this thing doesn't fit the Legion Go 2. So I'm going to lean over here to my collection. I have not tried this. I'm actually glad you're having me do this.
Nice.
Live on the podcast because
this is the biggest case they
curious.
have, so this is why like this has got to be the new standard. That's why I got the Steam Deck one, because this thing fits like my Switch 2. It fits my ROG Ally used to go in here too, so that's one of the big draws for me is like getting a big one that fits them all.
Yeah, and honestly, that's why I got this one as well, because I was like, hey, if this is the biggest one, then I want it to be able to fit stuff. So okay, so it has a little magnetic kind of hinge thing. So I'm gonna open it up. I'm grabbing the claw from the bottom side because there's a little bit of a taper towards the top. So
I'm loving this play-by-play.
Yeah, let's see if I can kind of squeeze this, and I'm gonna put one handle in first, and then. Oh man, the other handle just kind of barely. Oh, let's see if I can. I can kind of wiggle it just a little bit. Oh, okay, yeah. It technically does cover it. It can technically cover it, and I bet that over time, once this leather is actually worn in a little bit, maybe it can expand. But
form around it.
I mean, listen though, yes. I mean, it wasn't designed for this, and no, it doesn't fully cover it, but this would still be enough for me, though.
It would work. Like, I would have traveled if mine fit that well. Mine, this Steam Deck one does not. Like the handle almost pokes all the way out, and so it just isn't enough. I think I actually put it in the video where I was like, I put them together.
Oh,
and
really?
It's just not. not big enough. And so I don't know. I mean, hopefully they'll make maybe a bigger model, but
well,
I don't know.
It's
Maybe
also
this is
funny
what
because like because of the handles and stuff, like it kind of bows in like that, right? So yeah, I mean, definitely not designed for it. But I'm also curious. I mean, now that I'm here, not because it's necessarily bigger, but I'm just curious to see how it fits a couple of the other ones. So
yeah,
I'm grabbing the Legion Go S.
There you go.
That should this should work just fine. Oh yeah. That's actually like
that's a good fit. Yeah,
that's actually a really good fit for that. So let's grab another one. So this is the original MSI Claw 8. Let's see. This should fit just fine. Oh yeah. No, that's perfect.
Good fit. Things like the Steam Deck would be great. Any of the ROG allies would be just fine.
Well, except for let me see Like the thing I'm worried about though is like the depth of the grips, because I feel like the ROG Ally X or the Xbox Ally X, I'm sorry, like that's the only one size wise. Yes, it fits perfectly, but like those grips, it's that same kind of thing where it's like really bowing. Like yes, it technically fits in here, but it definitely is not like sitting flat in a backpack, I guess.
Right. Oh man, I was hovering over that buy button for the Legion Go 2 case, but I'm gonna have to hold out, see if they're gonna make a bigger one. I think so.
I mean, a bigger one. What other bigger handheld is gonna be coming, man?
Just give me an inch. I just need another inch. That's all I need to be able to fit my MSI Claw. So.
Okay. Yeah. Either way, like, I mean, for me, and I actually had spoken with the Waterfield person. I've been speaking with the rep for months now. I feel like it. And like, for me, the bigger question I have is like, once again, this is expensive. This is definitely like a buy it for life kind of thing. And I get it that you want to get something nice, but also for me, like I usually don't put it in a bag like this unless I'm traveling. And, I'm only traveling like maybe 3 to 4 times a year that I would actually take a big x86 device like this. So like, would you get this just for travel, or would you actually use this like driving from the office to your house or what?
Oh yeah, I definitely use them every day. Like I do.
Really?
The thing is, they used to make smaller ones, like Switch Lite size, and those fit perfectly with retro handhelds. And so it's like because a lot of these guys don't come with their own cases, especially back in the day. So I had multiple different sizes, and then I could just throw them all in there and then take that with me. And so like my old Switch Lite case, I use that with my Odin 3, like it's like every day, like they go in the bag and then they go in my backpack. And so, cause I have multiples in my backpack at all times, cause I'm like working on like 3 different things every day while I'm working on videos, like different software tests and stuff.
Of course.
So yeah, I'm always just going back and forth between the two. And that's what I use, mostly Waterfield stuff, unless I've got one specific for that handheld, like a nice Tom Talk case or something like that.
Looking at their website right now of all the gaming cases that they have. So here's the Legion Go 2. It starts at $90. Let's see what the but yeah, the chocolate leather one I have is $120. But other than that one, I'm trying to see like the smallest one that would kind of, you've got the City Slicker case for Analog Pocket.
Yeah, but that's only for like vertical handhelds, and that does fit. Like you can put like smaller Game Boy like handhelds in there. I have that one, and it works well. Like I use that with like my Retroid Pocket Classic, which is kind of a similar size. So that one will work. The other thing is, I think the smallest is probably the Switch 2 one, maybe, which is a big handheld.
The one up here. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's still like, it's definitely smaller than like this Legion Go 2 one, but like it still has that bulk to it because of the leather and the stitching and stuff like that. So
it's also a shame. They used to have other designs. Like they only have 2 designs nowadays. They've got this magnetic case where it just kind of opens up on one of the corners and the other one's kind of set in place, like these ones. And then they've got what they call the City Slicker, which has got a flap. And so you open it up, it's kind of like it feels like a cowboy like case kind of thing,
Yeah.
But they used to have one that was a pouch. And so it would be like a pouch and then the top was magnetic and you would just open it up and then put that in there and close it. And so that's how my Odin 3 one is. And I don't have it on me here. It's in the other room. But I wish they had those older designs again, because these are neat. They're functional, but I don't know. Some of the fun is like having different options,
Yeah, but hey, look, they've got that new Versus gaming sling. Like I said, you can literally fit 2 handheld devices in this. Like, dude, this like they only have like front on shots with the models. Yeah. But I can only imagine like how thick that thing would come out if it's like loaded with gear. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I get it. It's probably pretty cool, but yeah, I don't know. Even for a hardcore handheld person like me, like I wouldn't be interested.
Yeah, personally, I would like to have something like that where it was maybe a little bit thicker, and yes, you could put a handheld in there, but then make it like compartmentable, so you could also maybe do a camera instead. Like things like that would be kind of nice.
Oh, good.
That seems like there's never been a time where I've walked around at any point and needed to have a Switch 2 and a Steam Deck at the same time. With easy access like that. So
what, Russ, you don't have friends? It'd be like, hey, Russ, can you carry my Switch 2? Like, oh, my back is you've got an extra pocket right there. Come on.
Yeah. Not those kind of friends, I guess. You know what's funny is like, it is kind of tangent, but like my son had a sleepover the other night, and my 17-year-old, and he had 5 or 6 friends over. So it was like a party, right? All these guys, and they wanted to play games, and I was like, sure. Like I showed them the room, and I like showed them, how to turn on all the different systems and stuff. They ended up playing like you'd think, okay, they're gonna play Smash Brothers or something, or GoldenEye or whatever. They decided to play Suica Watermelon. You know that game where you like basically drop down small fruits, and then when the same fruit touches itself, it will get bigger, and then those bigger fruits will get bigger, and it's like a puzzle game that also is like a little bit strategic and kind of moving these things around. It's a fully addictive game. I can't believe you haven't played this before.
What is this on? Is it Steam or?
You can on Steam. I wouldn't recommend. There is a Suica game, but it's not the best. Suica means watermelon in Japanese, but on Switch is like a really good version. There's mobile ports, so people play it on Android and iPhone, and then there are a lot of Pico 8 versions, and so those are the ones I usually will play. There's one called Cosmic Collapse, actually, which you can get on Steam for like $1 or $2. And that one like is basically just a wrapper for the Pico 8 game, but it's fun. It is. Anyway, very addicting.
Sweet. Suika. Okay. Yeah.
So I wouldn't recommend any of those that are named Suica, but Cosmic Collapse on Steam in particular is one I would recommend. Really fun game. But it is like basically
never seen this, dude.
Oh yeah. So it was more of a thing like 4 years ago than now, But anyway, they played this on the Switch too, where they just pulled up 2 Joy-Cons. One kid held the one Joy-Con that moves the thing back and forth, and the other kid held the one that would drop it. And so it's like they're fighting each other and just kind of trying to work together. And then the other 4 are just yelling at them, right? And like telling them what to do. And so you think about multiplayer these days, with like, Gen Z or whatever, and they're going to be playing whatever, Minecraft or something. No, they were playing Suica Watermelon and just yelling they were getting mad, and that was pretty funny. Anyway, so that wouldn't fit in your gaming sling is like what I was thinking about when it came to multiplayer.
I guess not. Yeah. That's funny. Well, what might fit in the gaming sling? Maybe not. I don't know. Is the OneXPlayer 3.
Oh,
so
gosh.
Russ, we saw this. Both of us got to see this at different times, but now you actually have this in your home.
I'm seeing this every day. Yeah. So this was waiting for me when I got home, and I've been home for like 4 days now. This thing, I love it and I hate it. It's like such a weird mix. I'm working on a video for it. This is going to take a long time just because there's so many things to test and kind of wrap my head around. When it comes down to it, I mean, I keep thinking about it. It's like, listen, you want power, you want OLED. This is it. Like, this is your option, basically. There's nothing else out there that has this screen and power because it is the Legion Go 2 screen for the most part. And so, beautiful. It looks good and stuff. But there's just so many other weird little compromises or risks that you would take if that is your defining principle of having power and OLED. It's like the controls don't feel great. Software is kind of janky. It's got like this. It's got the worst kickstand I've ever seen in my life. This thing. So this thing, it's just like the old Switch 1. Where you got the single kickstand on one side, but unless you have it at a perfect, like it's like a 40-ish degree angle, the thing falls over on its own. You don't even have to touch it. It just falls over because it's only on one side and it's so big and lopsided that you really can't use it that way. And so just a lot of things that I'm testing with it. it's also, from a very small company, so you have to deal with like the potential risk of having to do a return and all of the heartache that would come from that too. So.
Well, I mean, you speak controls, like, so what specifically about the controls? I was curious because, like, I mean, here's the other thing. Maybe I guess I should step back. Is like when we get the first hands-on of something, like that's different from when we can actually sit down and start playing something as well. Because like even over time, like I think we talked about, or we did a quick catch up on the MSI Claw 8 EX before you left, but then now even in the past couple weeks since that, I've even started to refine just a little bit more of like how I feel about the ergonomics of it. You should get more time with something, the better. Yeah. So like I don't remember the controls being too finicky for me. So when I got to see the OneXPlayer 3, but so what are you feeling now?
So there's a few things that just kind of keep hitting me. First, I would just say they're fine. Like they're fine. Like it's okay. I don't think the ergonomics are laid out correctly, where like the way your weight on your hand is, it feels a little bit off. So it feels like it's pushing too much. Like if you look at a palm of your hand, you usually assume that the weight's going to be around here or so, and you just kind of hold it and it kind of rests there. But the weight is often like here, the top of the palm, like right before your fingers, like or right where they meet the palm. And so it's just a weird location. And I feel like it sometimes gets in the way of me like angling and using the triggers the right way. And so weight distribution feels a little bit off for me with this one, with the stock controllers. They did send me like the other smaller controllers to use, and these have their own share of issues. But for the stock experience, like that was one of the things where it had like just the weight distribution's a little bit off. It's got that very powdery, very matte, very smudgy black plastic, which is again like something I've never really liked from their products. And but it's a thing I've just kind of gotten over. Like it feels unpleasant on the hands, but I know a lot of people just aren't bothered by it. So it's,
how does it feel, I guess, compared to the Legion Go 2? Because I have the Legion Go 2 here. It still has that kind of powdery front on, but then at least halfway down the seam, like it kind of transitions into a little bit more like textured plastic. Like,
so that's also a softer kind of plastic. It feels almost rubbery on the Legion Go 2, and I'm not a huge fan of that rubberiness, like the softness of it, but it's something that is still within the threshold of, I think, still being good. This is too much for me. It's like too powdery, too smudgy, it gets slick, like, and with such a heavy handheld, it's like, whoo, and it's like, I'm going to drop this thing at some point. I haven't, but like, I feel like there's a risk there when I'm doing that. Now,
interesting.
This thing kind of offsets some of those too by like, it's a good tabletop device because you can pull off the controls, and so you have all of those functionalities too. It even comes with like a little keyboard, like, little flap, you can cover it up and then pull that down. Not great. Like, again, like it's like, it works, but it definitely feels like these are almost like, you go on Amazon and you buy an accessory for some sort of device that you have, and it's by some company. It's called like BH56 or whatever. Like it's just some Chinese word, right?
Dang, calling out BH56.
Yeah. And you get it and you're like, yeah, it works, but it doesn't feel like good. It doesn't feel premium or like this elevated experience that you will sometimes get with some of those higher end things, right? And that's what all of these things feel like. It's like, it works, it's fine, but it doesn't, for a $2,000 handheld, it doesn't make me feel special, And again, this might be like me as a reviewer and seeing all the good stuff and then being bothered by the little things. But for me at that price point, it's hard to kind of justify all the little nitpicks that I have. And so, I figure my video is probably going to be like, we know how the power is going to be. The screen is beautiful. Here are all the nitpicks, and you need to figure out if these are deal breakers or not. Like, that's basically going to be my whole thesis right there.
I honestly think that's the best way to frame it too. Yeah, to be like, hey, listen, like you said, if power and the screen is like, hey, that's enough, that's all I care about, then awesome. But if these other little things might be a little stopper. I think that it is also hard because a lot of these Shenzhen based companies like really shoot for the moon. Like last week, Mr. Dweeb and I talked about the Neo Next 2, which is like a really high-end Strix Halo device. And, like in my mind, a lot of these companies like to just feel like, yeah, we've got the best of the best. You want the best of the best? We got the best of the best kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then it isn't always just the best of the best. Like it's the best of the best in one or two aspects, but it still falls short in a lot of ways. And I always still think back to the time that I got in the IO Neo Kun, where I was like, oh man, like they're marketing this like this is the pinnacle of handheld gaming.
Right.
Like the boxing experience. Did you ever get that one?
I got it. Yeah, the wood
so
one.
Like the boxing experience was amazing and beautiful and just so much effort and time put into it. And then, like it did have some really impressive things about it, but then I started playing it and I was just like, oh, there's just things that it's just rough around. Like so many corners are just perfectly polished and beautiful, and and corners in a metaphorical way. And then there's some other corners that are just like, you just kind of chopped it, like it's just real rough. Like somebody kind of sanded it with a heavy
some
grain.
guy said good enough, and he shouldn't have.
Well, I don't even think it's that. I mean, maybe it's just a priority thing, right? It's like, hey, we're going to put our priorities into this, and then the rest of it, we'll just do whatever kind of thing.
Yeah,
so,
I will say, like, there's some other really big positives to it that I didn't quite appreciate until I had really had it for a few days. And like one is like the battery, like so the battery is 85 watt hours, so it's bigger than the others. And
but barely, right? On paper.
Right. But it's may just be me like being in love with this chip, but it's funny. It's a happy accident. But the first few days I was playing with it, I couldn't open up the OneXPlayer software. Like I couldn't change my TDP basically. Like I'm just playing it as it. And I was testing other things, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But I had to get a new updated version, and I got that eventually. But before that I didn't. But I was playing games and I was like, I don't know what wattage this is at. I have no idea, right? I can kind of see through the metrics because I had set all that stuff up. But everything was playing so good. And then I play everything and I'm like, oh, this is great. I was mostly focusing on emulation, which is something we can talk about too. And then I looked down at the battery. I'm like, this can't be right. It still says 80%. Like I've been playing this for hours, and sure enough, like it's like, I don't think it's the 80 versus 85 watt thing, but it was rather just the G3 Extreme, man, especially if you put it. And what I found out once I got the OneXPlayer software on there, it was stuck at 25 watts max. So that's where it was hitting. But it was still like it was, because I was mostly focused on emulation and stuff. I wasn't having performance issues, but that battery life was crazy. Like I'd sit down for a whole evening of testing and I'd pick it up and be like, oh, okay, now I got to charge it or whatever. And it's still at 60%. It was really kind of crazy.
Yeah. And I think there are advancements in, like, always really small advancements in battery technology that maybe we just never, kind of catch up on because there's always just like little things.
Sure.
Or maybe we use a device for so long, it starts to degrade. Like I think of my phone, like I had a 1X, I'm sorry, not 1X, a OnePlus, sorry, a OnePlus Fold, or no, OnePlus Open. Was what it was. And I mean, I guess I got that. When did that come out? 2022-ish time frame. And like, especially towards the end of its life, or the end of me using it, the battery, like by the evening, maybe like 7 or 8 p.m., like I'd be like, oh, I need to plug this in just to like top it off, just to get through me the rest of the night, which was always kind of a bummer. But now I have the new Motorola Razr Fold, and this thing, no matter how hard I push it, when I go plug it in at night at the end of the day, it's still over 50%, and I'm just like, I don't even, this is amazing. So like, I think it's probably maybe a mixture of those advancements, but also just, other devices getting degraded. But I mean, that G3 Extreme, like that still continues to be like a knock out of the park.
It is really good. And so for emulation, I tested it a bunch, and lightweight stuff obviously plays really well. You can do very low wattage playing and stuff. But I really was trying to push it. I'm like, all right, GameCube, PS2, PS3, Xbox 360 was like the 3 or the 4 that I focused on. GameCube, PS2, exactly as I expected, where it's just like it's sipping, maybe 12 watts total system power when playing it upscale to match the resolution. So you're looking at, 7-8 hours of battery life, but then Xbox 360 was really good. Like I was like, holy smokes. Not like the emulator's been doing really well lately in terms of development and compatibility and stuff. So the 3 major games that I always test, like Blue Dragon, Lost Odyssey, and Crackdown, and all 3 of them, no graphical issues, and also just like playing well, steady frame rate, and no big boosts in like CPU or GPU requirements. Like it felt like I was just playing a PC game. So I only play like, 10, 20 minutes each of these, I was playing hours of these where I was like, I could actually, like, I don't feel like this game's going to crash on me, and so I'm like, maybe I can play a little bit longer, and so really enjoying that. But PS3 sucks on this thing. And I don't know if it's just, maybe the RPCS3 team doesn't have this chip yet and they haven't done any sort of optimizations, but they cut back on CPU cores in favor of GPU, but in particular with RPCS3, it's always done well with having many CPU threads to work with. And so I'm thinking that's probably the issue. And so something like this Strix Halo, which we always talk about is like the CPU is too powerful on it, that would probably do a lot better than the G3 Extreme, at least based on my initial testing. I got do a lot more. And we're talking about things like God of War 3, which are really hard to run. So
yeah. Well, I mean, it needs to be said that Intel definitely still does have certain caveats when it comes to the GPU, like the discrete GPU, where it's like, hey, it's a really good bang for your buck and you can go a long way, but you're still just going to run into certain scenarios where either it's a new game or some sort of driver is not optimized for Intel because NVIDIA rules the roost, but then AMD is next down, and then Intel, they're doing a lot of work and they're definitely have caught up in a lot of ways, but there's still those weird edge cases. So yeah, maybe on that specific emulator, just, they just don't target Intel.
The way that team works too is that they're so ahead of things. So I figure like a year from now, it won't be an issue, but like right now, like God of War 3, which you can play like a pretty good, like 55, 60 frames per second on Strix Halo, even upscaled, which is really impressive. On this, I was playing at just 720p native and like 35 frames per second. Still playable. It's definitely playable, but that's about what you would get on a like Z2 Extreme. So, yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, how do you, like, we don't need to recount your whole review kind of thing, but like, how would you place this versus the MSI Claw 8 EX? Because it's the same power. Yes, it's a different screen. Yeah. So that's kind of want to hear. Obviously, the ergonomics are different. Like where do you think one person should look at one or the other?
Yeah, I think the safer bet is the MSI Claw. Right now, the OneXPlayer is cheaper if you go on their Indiegogo because they're like in pre-order campaign. It is cheaper by a couple $100. If you try to get the one that's like the same level of like RAM and storage as the MSI Claw, it's not that big of a difference, but you can get some lower spec models. But the thing is, that doesn't account for whatever tariffs or import duties you'll have to pay when the ship's over from China, whether or not they're going to cover that. I still haven't really understood. I'll figure all that stuff out before I finish the video. I'll talk to the team about it, but I'm not really sure what it's going to actually cost to get to your door compared to MSI Cloud, which you can just get right then and there. And then, of course, that peace of mind is worth money to me, the ability to be able to return it or RMA or any of that kind of stuff very easily. And comfort-wise, I really do enjoy that MSI Claw a lot more, like to the point where I'm like, when I'm done with this, I'm just going back to the MSI Claw. And that kind of, and it leads to the one thing that's like the thing I learned about this, like I'm trying to teach people about stuff, but I learned stuff too when I review these. The thing I learned about this one is that like I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, so what's so bad about the MSI Claw screen? Like I kept thinking that to myself. I'm like, I get it. I get so many comments on my videos that say no OLED, no buy. Like I see that all the time, right? Got it, sure. But I kept coming back to like, I don't know, like the MSI Claw screen for me is just, it's at that level where it's pleasing and it's good and it makes me happy, and this is a little bit better. Definitely it's OLED. It's got those inky blacks and stuff, but I don't know, not to the point of dealing with all the other hiccups that come with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is a bigger screen, but you probably prefer to not have an almost an inch bigger screen.
Even that, I really need to do side by side. But even then, I'm like, it just feels like the MSI Claw. It's 8.8 versus 8 inches. So yes, one's bigger than the other, but I don't know. They're both just like right in my face. Like at what point, do I need to have something bigger than that? And so I can't really tell the difference between them. I'm like a week or two removed from using the MSI Claw like really extensively. And so it just like my muscle memory is like, it's the same kind of experience.
Yeah. Well, what about that D-pad? Because that in terms of controls, that was the one that like hit me when I got to try it at Computex, where I was just like, this D-pad just feels weird to me. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, it's like just a series of micro switches, almost like mouse clicks, and it's just like very clicky. It's floating
really
above.
Tall.
It like kind of floats above, and it's not replaceable. Like on the other controls that I have, like you can actually pop it out and put a different in, but they still have the same kind of clicky mechanism. So it's not like a great upgrade, But yeah, like it's still, not a huge fan. I like the face buttons. They're also that same kind of clicky. It feels almost like a mouse click, like very simple to press down on, very easy to press. And I like it. Not too loud, I don't have any complaints about that. It's better than like a clacky button, something that's like a really loud button, like on the Xbox Allies.
Okay. And do you also have in the other one, the mini? I forgot
They're sending the X2 Mini Pro. Yeah, they're sending me that one too. I think it's already in the mail. I told them to kind of separate them, because I need time for each, I'll probably do, maybe instead of the X2 Mini Pro review, I'll just do a comparison like AMD versus Intel kind of thing in this current generation. So I don't have it yet, but I will. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because I remember that was one of the other things we talked about is like you were surprised because you were like, oh, wait. You have a whole nother piece of hardware. Right. And then is there any word on the other piece of hardware that actually is going to ship before? Sorry, there's too many consoles. I don't remember the name of this one.
The other one's like just called X2 Pro or something. I don't know, man. You got me.
Yeah, the other one that has the G3 Extreme
that
is actually shipping now. I guess I can look it up. But
they haven't contacted me about that one yet, but I don't know. I need a break at this point. I can't turn into retro OneXPlayer core or whatever. So
right. Yeah. Almost too many handhelds. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, actually, I realized there's one more thing in my pocket that I just want to quickly mention is that based off of our previous conversation and your video on it, I did end up picking up that Mobapad HD, whatever the Switch 2 one.
Yeah.
You
like it?
I do. Yeah. It's not a knockout of the park. I'm not loving it. Like something about the ergonomics, and I don't have it in front of me right now to like describe. But yeah, like I mean, listen. Is it an upgrade over the normal Joy-Cons? Yes, definitely. And yeah, like, I mean, you can just put it in the dock. It literally just mimics the Joy-Con attachments and kind of stuff like that. So it's already leagues better than it was. But yeah, like there was also a couple things where I was just like, I don't love it. But it is good. It's a better alternative than I think a plenty of other stuff.
I think that's exactly like where it needs to be, right? Where it's like, it's not end game. Like I think that's going to come several years from now once we really get it perfected, but man, it is such a big upgrade. And I'm assuming yours is black, right? Because they have different color options.
Yeah. I just got the black one.
The plastic texture on that on the front is almost exactly like the OneXPlayer 3. Which I'm not a big fan of, you know what I mean? So if you want to get a feel of that powdery, kind of smudgy, it's there, unfortunately. They have like kind of grippiness on the back, but on the front, it's like kind of gross.
Well, it was weird because when I went to the site to go order it, all of the options and stuff, I was just like, wait, am I ordering the right one? Because it's the Q8 Plus or something like, or G8 Plus. Like,
it's like let me look it up. It's like there's two different ones. Yeah,
because I was like, wait, am I getting the right one? Like, there's a lot of controllers in here.
Yeah, so there's the M12 HD and the M12S. Great names here. And so
I got the HD.
Okay, so there's a chart that shows the difference between them. And the ones I reviewed were, let me double check. So I did the, I don't even know. They're so similar. No, I did the HD. That's the one I reviewed. And they just recently sent me the gray version of the S. And so I don't know if I'll do a whole video on it, but I'll showcase it in some way. But yeah, they're so similar. Like the sticks are the same, the buttons are the same, but like one has the C, like the chat button, the other one doesn't. And one has different type of, like one has HD rumble, one has just regular rumble. One's got 6-axis, one's got 9-axis, and yeah, just really kind of unique. And so I've got that new one, and I'll try to figure out the difference between them when it comes to actual gameplay. But yeah, they're so similar. It is a weird purchase decision right there.
Yeah. Also, like the fact that it came with that hard plastic case, I was like,
Right.
I immediately was like, I'm not going to use this.
Right. What do you need that for? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because it just lives on my Switch. Like I mean, I guess here's the last part I'll make too, is that it also came with that middle part where you can kind of like connect it and make it a full controller. And at first I was like, okay, yeah, no, I'm never going to do this. This is junk. But that's because I would never do that with the Joy-Cons. Like, yes, there's that attachment to put the Joy-Cons together, but like, I have never done that. I will never do that. It's just a horrible experience. And so I thought the same thing for that. But then when I actually did try it out once, I was like, oh, you know what? This is actually a usable experience that way. So yeah, I was like, okay, cool. I take back my initial thought on that middle connector part.
And it would be good for if you were to take it on travel, right? Because then you can just treat the Switch 2 as a tablet, right? And that's very easy to store. And then you have your case that'll hold the connector inside and then those Joy-Cons. And so travel-wise, yes, this would be a really good setup. But I don't know how often you would travel with the Switch 2 if you've got something like a PC to bring.
Yeah. Well, but also, like, me personally, I wouldn't put the controller in a case. Like, I would still just
chuck it.
Yeah. You know. Yeah. So, anyway, I think it's about time we did another pause for a break. I need to dab my brow. It is warm in here.
Let's do it.
All right, Russ, we're getting towards the end of the show, but I think we should answer at least one question because I feel so bad because we literally have just like a big document of questions that we have not got to. Yeah. Maybe next week we'll try to like prioritize a full Q&A or something like that. But yeah, keep them coming. And if you do have questions, go down to the link in the description. We have a Full Nerd Network Discord, and then down there in the channel, a questions channel is EH-questions. Put a question in there, and hopefully we'll be read on a future show. At some point, the news has got to die down, right? At some point,
it's got to. At some point, I don't know how it keeps going when there's like a lot fewer handhelds nowadays than like last year, for example.
Right. Or maybe we just talk too much. That could be it too.
Yeah, it could be it.
So the question comes in from, I thought that I didn't copy over the name, but it is just melting face emoji. So I was like, oh no, I must have accidentally forgot to copy the name. But no, it's just melting face emoji asks, hey Russ and Adam, I found my wife's Nintendo 3DS XL in a box down in the basement the other day. Pause. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, what a surprise to be like, hey, there's a handheld down here.
Yeah,
I would love to like just find a handheld in my coat pocket or something.
How did this get here?
Right. It would probably like feel so special to do that. Anyway, I didn't see a power adapter with it. Before I potentially blow something up or ruin a classic, I wanted to ask the experts, what is the ultimate protocol when you find a legacy handheld in a basement or an attic? What are the immediate first steps, health checks, safety precautions you should take before you try to press the power button? Number 2, can you recommend a good flash cart and cartridge dumper? Also, what are some mods or upgrades I should be thinking about in the future? Thanks, guys. Love the show. Great questions.
Yeah.
And once again, congratulations on finding something in the basement that thing probably goes for over $200 right now.
That's actually what I was going to say. I was going to be like, first thing, Ultimate Protocol, go on eBay and see what it's worth.
Yeah. Good point. I like that. I mean, listen, I'm not trying to throw shade on your living environment. I have no idea what kind of condition it's in, so I'm just gonna talk about it generally. Of like, if I found something anywhere, and I do this a lot even when I go to a retro game shop around here, or if I'll go to like well, definitely if I'll go to like a flea market or something. Like the first thing, I do a visual inspection. Like, do you see any sort of damage, any sort of grime, any sort of thing that indicates that there's been use that's not just normal wear and tear? I will do a sniff test. A lot of people make fun of me for it, but like I will actually sniff it because it can tell you a couple things. Do you smell some sort of burnt electronics or burnt plastic and anything that feels like, ooh, it should probably not smell like that? I mean, worst case scenario, like, ooh, does it smell like cat pee or, something like that, like battery corrosion? I don't know. Like, not that maybe you know what a default Nintendo 3DS XL should smell like, but you could probably smell if something was really off,
right?
To then maybe address like, oh, okay, I should probably wipe this down or sanitize it or something like that.
Yeah, they don't smell like cat pee out of the box.
I guess not. Yeah. So, and then the next thing for me, I don't think this is a major problem for Nintendo because I actually think their batteries are really good. But like, I would double check the battery, like pop that thing out. I mean, I probably wouldn't use it either, even if it's a 3DS XL, so
it's relatively recent. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably fine, but like, I don't know. I never like to. I don't like to mess around with batteries. Like why risk it? You can definitely get replacement batteries, and sure, it might not be as high capacity or bring other risks, but like a battery that's just been sitting around for a long time and you have no idea what condition it is, it just kind of scares me. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would definitely at least do a visual inspection, pull off the back cover and take a look, make sure it's not bulging or there's any sort of like leakage or anything else like that.
Yeah. And then, I mean, he talks about getting the power adapter. Like, I'm fine with third-party power adapters, whatever, especially for this. But yeah, like at least maybe shine a flashlight in the port, see if there's like, built up something that maybe you need to grab some tweezers, like hair or cat hair or something like that. Just to make sure there's nothing that's actually going to, I don't know, short or catch. I mean, not that it's going to catch fire, but
right.
you don't want to go jamming power in there and be like, oh wait, that's weird. It's not jamming all the way in. I wonder why.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, but once again, no shade on your living circumstances. Best case scenario, it was in a box, and nothing's wrong with it. So cool. That's awesome. You power that thing on, and if it just works, and there's no screen issues, or the buttons aren't sticky or something like that, and you just want to play some games. I mean, yeah, Russ, do you have recommendation for a good flash carts and dumpers? I honestly, I have never used a ROM dumper. Now that I think about it.
So I don't know if there are ROM dumpers specifically for these. There might be some, but the thing is, a modded 3DS allows you to dump ROMs from your cartridges. So that's like the solution that I would have. Yeah. So you can just jailbreak it, and I've got tutorials on my website or on my YouTube channel. Like I made this years ago, but it still all works, So there's a website that will walk you through how to jailbreak and mod your 3DS. And one of them is that you can extract your games. And I show you how to do that in my video. You can do it with DS games too. And so you can extract your DS games and then make the ROMs out of them. And then just run them from that. And so, that's what I would probably recommend, as opposed to getting additional hardware that you could do all that with. You could just do it yourself. As far as flashcards, any DS flash card will work in your 3DS. And so DS Pico is like the new hotness right now because it's so cheap and it works pretty well. So
you know what's weird though? I love that DS Pico. It is not working in my 3DS XL.
Oh, really?
And I don't know why. Maybe I did something wrong, or I need to update it or something like that. But it is just not. It's just not reading in the 3DS XL.
I haven't tried. So definitely. I mean, I have like just an R4 card, like just the old ones. They have some that like specifically say 3DS on them, and so I've got an R4 card in my 2DS XL, whatever they call that one. the
No,
non
yeah. So maybe I'm a weird edge case, and I need to try it again, or like I said, pull some updates. But like it is, I'm reading people online right now who have had success. But I love that DS Pico. Like I think that is the de facto way to do it. And you can get pre-made ones. Yes, everything's open source, which is awesome, and you can print it yourself if you want. But man, like I think I got it from Phenom Mods or whatever, and like it already came pretty much the hardware pre-configured and all that stuff, and it wasn't that hard, even for me, like somebody who's scared to compile kernels and stuff like that. It actually worked out really well.
Nice. Yeah, I actually bought from the same place you did because you had mentioned it, and so I bought that. I've got it. I haven't actually done anything with it yet, so yeah, I've got one.
Yeah, good piece of hardware. Like I have not. So I actually have not tried to do soft modding on my 3DS. Like I have loaded, what is it? So like on my DSi, like I have the DS Pico, but before I got the DS Pico in, I loaded it with whatever
Twilight.
like Twilight. Yes, thank you. I was like Moonlight. What was it? So like I do have Twilight loaded onto that, and that was pretty easy. Like how does that compare to the 3DS stuff?
The 3DS runs Twilight.
Oh,
So
really?
it's
Like the same process?
Yeah, so it's the same thing. I'm sure
okay.
there's differences between them. Like this one's called Twilight Plus Plus or something. But the soft modding is very simple. It's one of those where you got to like figure out which version you have and then go and follow those instructions. So even though I have a video on it, I definitely like in that video I'm like do the written guide, but here it is just me walking through it. And that was years ago. That was like in the old, before I even had the studio, I think, when I recorded that. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say the funny thing for me is that because my 3DS XL, when I got it, this was like around I had already kind of stopped collecting physical games. So that's where I first built my like digital Nintendo library kind of stuff. Because the DS, like I sold most of my games and I never had DSi. So like whatever. But yeah, the 3DS, I bought so many games on that thing. Like I also don't want to soft mod it, or I don't feel like I need to, because like I pretty much have every game that I would want anyway. Yeah. So
right. Yeah, for me it's like a wear and tear thing and the convenience of not having to go and find it and put it in and stuff. And so but yeah, like in those videos I show how to do that. And it's all, again, I just derived it all from those written guides. It's pretty simple. It's like an hour, take you about an hour.
Nice. Yeah. No, that's fun. I mean, sorry. I think you put this question in. Oh wow, from May 26th. So sorry. You by this point you've probably done something with it, but please go back into your original question on the Discord and right click on it and create a thread. I would love to hear like an update of like how it went, what you've done with it, because and also actually you don't mention which version of the 3DS XL. Like, is it one of the special ones, or like what color it is? Like I love to hear the details like that. It would just it would put me in the headspace of like, just coming across a box that just has, whoa, there's a handheld in there. Like, yeah, it would be cool.
Kind of like us in the desert. We're like, hey, what is this? Like moving over some rocks and we found handhelds.
At some point, I feel like we didn't really talk enough about the behind the scenes of creating that trailer. It was, that was funny.
It's funny too, because I see that trailer every week, because it's like when you have the video staged and it's like ready to go and it's going to premiere, it just shows the preview. And so I'm like, oh, I forgot about this, because it's been, gosh, what, 7 months, 6 months?
Yeah. I actually so it is a check mark for me to put, do you want a trailer or not? And part of me is always like, I was like, do people really want to see the trailer again? Is it getting like stale and old? But then I'm like, yeah, well, it's still a good trailer.
It's fun. Yeah, it's fun.
So, all right, but yeah, let's we got to wrap it up here. That's the only question we're going to take from May 26th. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we gotta knock through some of these ones. The thing is, a lot of them are really good questions and really in depth, and so it becomes intimidating when you're like, oh, I got 30 of these things to answer. So yeah.
True. No. Yeah. I appreciate it. Some of these. I mean, last question I'll put out here actually to the people, rather than having the question sit around stale, like, would you like us to maybe like quickly go in and like answer in Discord before we talk about it on the show? Like, you know, maybe that would help, because then, like I said, this person's been waiting around for an answer since May, when we could have maybe done like a quick little check-in.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I wouldn't mind doing that as well. Just tag me.
So yeah, let us see. Either way, Russ, we need to get out of here. I guess the last question I have for you is, do you feel like your jet lag is over?
No, it's still, it's funny. It's only a 4-hour difference, but it's like just enough, you know? And so I keep waking up at like 9 in the morning. I usually try to get up around 7, you know? I wake up at 9 and I'm like, oh, it's so early. I look at my watch. I'm like, and so I'm in that like cycle right now, you know, but I'll get over it. So
I'm sorry, man. Also, yeah, I got to ask you one last time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any root beer on you? Is this
no?
Is this still the real Russ?
Man. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
because that would have been really funny.
Right. Go ahead.
I was going to say that would have been really funny if Mr. Dweeb didn't reveal the secret until the end of the show. Then I would have been like, whoa, this whole time it was not
or if
Russ.
I pulled off a mask and so it's you know, background behind the scenes stuff. I have an orange and black striped shirt because we've done gags together, you know, and so, you know, in hindsight, maybe I should have worn that in the intro. Oh well. So the thing is, I will always know whether or not it's actually you, because I can just ask you, you know, how to pronounce root beer, and then I'll just know right then.
How do I say? I don't say it weird. It's root beer.
Say rut beer.
No, I'm not saying rut beer.
It sounds like
beer.
Okay, there I think you were trying hard, but when you're not thinking about it, it sounds like you say rut beer.
Rut beer. Beer. Okay, yeah. Well, now I'm just thirsty for some rut beer.
Yeah.
Anyway, rest up, charge up your devices for sure. Try maybe to update them, like apply any patches. You know, if there's any games you want offline retro achievements for, you got to launch the game first.
Cache them up.
Yeah, you got to set that up. So rest up, and we'll be back next week for another adventure, and hopefully some more questions. So thanks, Russ. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you later.
Bye, everyone.